Imagine a world divided into two blocks: tanks, planes, and millions of soldiers fighting for 6 years across every continent in battles by land, sea, and air. World War II was the greatest conflict in human history, and in just a few minutes, you'll understand how it began, how it unfolded, and how it ended. After World War I, Germany was defeated and humiliated. The Treaty of Versailles imposed heavy reparations, drastically reduced its army, and limited its economy. For the German people, it was an open wound. The Great Depression of 1929, which hit the entire world, plunged Germany into unemployment and misery. In this atmosphere of despair, authoritarian leaders who promised glory and prosperity began to rise. Among them was Adolf Hitler. Hitler and the Nazi Party promised to restore German pride. Through fiery speeches, he blamed minorities and foreigners for the country's problems. He promised jobs, military power, and territorial expansion. Meanwhile, Japan dreamed of building a vast Asian empire, conquering territories and resources across the Pacific. Benito Mussolini's Italy, inspired by the ancient Roman Empire, also sought to expand its borders. The stage was set for the greatest war in human history. In September 1939, Germany invaded Poland using a new military strategy called Blitzkrieg, the Lightning War. Fast-moving tanks, bombing aircraft, and infantry advancing in perfect coordination. Poland was defeated within weeks. Days later, France and the United Kingdom declared war on Germany. World War II had officially begun. The power of Blitzkrieg proved devastating. Within months, Germany conquered Norway, Denmark, Belgium, and the Netherlands. In 1940, France, one of the world's greatest military powers, was forced to surrender. It was a shock to the world. But one country stood firm: the United Kingdom. That same year, Hitler launched the Battle of Britain. German planes crossed the English Channel daily to bomb cities and factories, but the British, led by Winston Churchill, stood their ground with courage. The use of radar, the strength of the Royal Air Force, and the determination of the people made the difference. After months of intense aerial combat, Hitler suffered his first major defeat. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, Japan was advancing aggressively through Southeast Asia and China. Its goal was to build an empire in the Pacific, controlling territories rich in natural resources. The world was already in flames. In 1941, Hitler made a risky decision: to invade the Soviet Union. It was Operation Barbarossa, the largest military invasion in history. 3 million German soldiers advanced along a massive front. At first, the offensive seemed unstoppable. The Nazi army moved quickly, capturing cities and surrounding Moscow. But there was one enemy Hitler had not foreseen: the Russian winter. Temperatures dropped to 40 degrees below zero, freezing soldiers and vehicles. The German army lacked proper clothing, food, and fuel. And the Soviet resistance was fierce. In the Battle of Stalingrad, every street and every building became a battlefield. It was there that the Red Army held its ground and counterattacked, marking one of the greatest turning points of the war. That same year, in December 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. Its goal was to destroy the American naval fleet in the Pacific. The attack killed thousands of people and sank several U.S. warships. But the result was the opposite of what Japan expected. The next day, the United States declared war on Japan. Days later, Germany and Italy declared war on the U.S. as well. The world's greatest industrial and military power entered the conflict, and the balance of power began to shift. By 1943, the Allies went on the offensive. In North Africa, British and American troops defeated Axis forces, paving the way for the invasion of Italy. Mussolini was overthrown and the country switched sides, joining the Allies. In June 1944 came D-Day. More than 150,000 soldiers landed on the beaches of Normandy, in occupied France. It was the largest amphibious operation in history. Despite heavy fortifications and enormous casualties, the Allies managed to secure a beachhead. From there, they marched to liberate Paris and advance towards Germany. Meanwhile, the Red Army pushed in from the east, retaking territories and closing in on Berlin. Surrounded, Hitler retreated to his bunker. In April 1945, faced with inevitable defeat, he took his own life. Soon after, Germany signed an unconditional surrender. In Europe, the war was over. But in the Pacific, the fighting continued. Japan, even facing defeat, refused to surrender. It was then that the United States used a new and devastating weapon: the atomic bomb. In August 1945, Hiroshima was destroyed in seconds. 3 days later, Nagasaki met the same fate. Entire cities vanished, and more than 200,000 people were killed. Days later, Japan finally surrendered. World War II had come to an end. But this was not just a war of soldiers and battles. It was marked by the Holocaust, the genocide carried out by Nazi Germany. Jews, Roma, people with disabilities, homosexuals, and political opponents were persecuted, deported, and exterminated in concentration camps. Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Dachau became symbols of horror and inhumanity. Millions were murdered in gas chambers or died of hunger and disease. The Holocaust revealed the darkest side of the war. It was also a total war. Not only the armies fought, entire nations did. Factories produced tanks, planes, and weapons without rest. Economies were fully mobilized. Women replaced men in factories and hospitals. Entire cities were bombed, and civilians paid a terrible price. Science was also drawn into the conflict. Jet aircraft, V-1 and V-2 rockets, and the atomic bomb forever changed the way wars were fought. In the end, World War II left more than 60 million dead: soldiers, civilians, children, and the elderly. It was the bloodiest conflict in human history. Europe's borders were redrawn, Germany was divided, and two new superpowers emerged as rivals: the United States and the Soviet Union. The world entered a new era of tension: the Cold War. The United Nations was born, created to prevent a conflict of such magnitude from ever happening again. World War II changed the course of humanity forever. It was the greatest conflict ever fought, a clash of ideologies, power, and human suffering. And it all began with the invasion of Poland.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.